Paul Anderson here, back for another workshop. For a few weeks I haven't been able to be here live, and I've recorded them, but I think it's quite nice to do something totally live. A wee bit more pressure, I suppose, for myself, because you have to try and get it right. And if you fluff it, it's out there and it's heard, just like doing a concert or a proper workshop. So so welcome to the workshop. I kind of will have anybody looking in by, but if there's any comments, I want to be able to answer them just now, but I'll come back later on and address any questions if you have any. So feel free to ask me questions about the music or whatever you like, really, and I'll do my best to come back to you about anything that you ask. So this week, it's just coming up to Halloween at the weekend. I suppose in the Celtic nations, British Isles generally, Halloween traditionally is quite a significant time of the year, and it certainly was significant pre-Christian, but it's also been significant because there's so many aspects of the various pagan religions had been kind of absorbed into Christianity that a lot of these old things never really died out. Suppressed at times, but never quite died out. So if you're in North America, your idea of Halloween would be a little different probably for traditionally in Scotland, although I think worldwide it's become very much a kind of, how would you describe it, kind of Hollywood version. I think during the 1940s, some of the starlets were kind of promoted at Halloween, and they kind of, well, like a sexy kind of monster, sexy witch type of thing, to help promote movies and stuff. And that's eventually kind of gotten into culture. In Scotland, traditionally, for instance, you would have put up a neep lantern, a neep being a turnip, kind of staple part of the diet in rural Scotland for sure. And these would have been put up to keep evil spirits off of your house, and originally it would have been genuinely put up to scare away the bogeymonies and the ghouls and witches and things. But the power of Hollywood and the fact that the pumpkin is very popular in America for obvious reasons, it's kind of got so much into culture over here through the media that folk are tending to go for pumpkins as opposed to our traditional neeps here in Scotland. And I think that's probably got a lot to do with the fact that a neep is a hell of a chook thing, a tough thing to howk it out, to dig it out. Okay, so pumpkins are an awful lot easier to work with. Neeps take quite a lot of work. It's quite tiring to dig out a neep. But I just like the fact it's a traditional thing. We certainly did it when we were bairns. So we'll have a neep lantern created for Friday for Live in the Lounge, when it's going to be our Halloween Live in the Lounge. It'll be 34. So because of that, I'm going to play a couple of tunes that tap into this Scottish supernatural legends. They're both new tunes, but they're tapping into the supernatural world that's kind of prevalent at this time of year. The reason for it is really because it was considered the time of the year when the fabric between the spirit world and the real world that we exist in is at its thinnest, and kind of ghosts and spirits could cross more easily into our world. And it's kind of, you were hoping to catch a glimpse of your ancestors, that'd be the sort of time. But also things like the fair folk, the fairy folk. I don't mean like wee fairies like Tinkerbell and Peter Pan. I'm thinking more like the elves in Lord of the Rings as a concept. They would cross out to the fairy realm and ours very readily. So there's a lot of superstition about Halloween. So I've written a couple of tunes this week because I've got loads and loads of tunes that we can play. Shona's got loads of songs And there's things like The Deal Among the Tailors, there's songs about witches and murders and things like that. So I was trying to think of some supernatural stuff that there's maybe no tunes for. There might be, but I just didn't ken them. So I've written a jig. This is called The King of the Goblins. And the first thing that'll probably come to folks' minds is probably The Hobbit by Tolkien, or maybe David Bowie dressed as the King of the Goblins in the film Labyrinth. We are the Jim Henson Muppet characters. It's not really based on any of these. It's just more that kind of concept of the real goblins as they possibly were understood in the past. So I'm going to play the tune, and we'll maybe speak more about that in a minute. So here we go. The King of the Goblins. Now, it's in 2 flats. You can play it as a jig or a march. I actually like it a little bit steadier, but I mean, I've got it written down as jig or march. So if you're playing along, either would be fine. I'm going to take it fairly steady for a start anyway, and just play it through to let you hear it. So that's The King of the Goblins, which I just wrote out last night. I actually composed it a couple of days ago. I was out for a walk, and it was while I was out walking that the tune came into my head. I had the intention to write a couple of extra tunes to augment what I'm going to be playing on Friday, because there's things like the Earl's Witches, there's another tune, The Witches Tree, there's the Ghost Piper of Huntley, there's things like that. So there's a lot of material. The Deal Among the Tailors, the Fairy Dance, Glen Shee, these sort of things would tap in. Glen Shee, like the Glen of the Fairies, actually. So that's why I was thinking of playing that on Friday. So, that was actually cracking on. I didn't really play it that slow. Now I think about it, but we'll reel it back, and we'll take it a bit steadier. For a lot of folk, I suppose the hurdle might be that it's in a flat key, but it shouldn't really put you off. I mean, just a bit of work on it, and you will get more comfortable. I do find that it's a more uncomfortable position to play in. If you're playing flat keys for a while, I find the heel of my hand begins to ache a little bit. It's just not quite as natural. So let's go back to the beginning. Pull out the long notes, keep the short notes short. The triplets, every note in the triplet. I mean, I've notated it with the dot, the dotted quaver and the semi-quaver here, because potentially it could be played as a march and it would be notated like that. Jigs didn't tend to hate that, they just have the 3 equal notes in the triplet without the dot and the semi-quaver, but I've written it in just in case we want to play it as a march. So let's go back, nice and slow and steady. We're playing it slow, so plenty of bow. that's the King of the Goblins. We'll go over it again slowly and then build up the tempo. There's, apart from the key, I don't think there's really that much to trip you up. Try and make sure that the triplets are played with plenty of lift. I mean, these slurred notes, try and use the whole bow if you can, because that just generates tone. That middle note in the triplet, nice and crisp and clean and short, but clearly heard. Okay, just because it's short, you don't want it disappearing in the background or you lose the sense of that triplet. But if you can get them firing out nice and clear, it should hopefully give the music a bit of lift. I mean, I think a sense of lift is more important than speed when it comes to dance tunes. And if jigs and reels are played too quick, I think they lose that sense of lift that makes them, well, makes you feel like you want to dance, I would say. So anyway, but that's a matter of opinion possibly, but anyway, that's what I think. So we'll play it again. I mean, goblins, they're, I don't think I've met anyone who's ever seen a goblin. But there would have been a genuine belief in things like that. And I was saying, I think about, if I heard about goblins, well, there was an author for Huntly who was a minister, actually. His name was George MacDonald, and he was an extremely influential writer. He wrote a book called, was it The Princess and the Goblin, or The Goblin and the Princess? And his work, a lot of it was based on Fairy Comfy around about Huntly, and kind of country folklore and stuff like that. And his writings really influenced J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, oh, that was another thing. Lewis Carroll was another thing. In fact, Alice in Wonderland was written for George MacDonald's kids. So he was a very influential guy, but a lot of the stuff he wrote about was based on kind of Scottish folklore and legends. So there you go. There's that, and also there's the Goblin Heart, or the Goblin Hall below. I think it's Yester Castle down in the south of Scotland. It's supposed to be one of the oldest stone-built castles in Scotland, but this chamber down below it, it's called the Goblin Heart, and it's said to have been built by supernatural forces. I mean, goblins, I think, in the traditional sense, could be fairly wicked and unpleasant if they were crossed or they were upset, but actually they could be quite kind, and they would do favours to folk if you didn't upset them. For instance, things like hobgoblins were goblins that would bide in houses, and they would bring good luck, and if you left food out for them, they'd be very grateful. So I'm not saying this from a personal experience point of view, but that's the genuine sort of thing. So they weren't necessarily kind of inherently evil. They could be a wee bit tricky and they could be unpleasant, but they weren't always that way. It depended on the person that they met and probably their mood. So there you go, the King of the Goblins. Just a flight of fancy, really. So I'm going to play it again, and I'll pick it up every time. There's a couple of things like these sharps you have to watch, obviously, but they're pretty clearly marked if you're following the music. And then at the end, the last bar that I've written in a term. So it. Grace notes, ornamentation. It really should be played in such a way that you get that percussiveness without being able to really pin down what notes are being played. If you can figure it out, you're probably playing them too slow. But practice them, practice them. If you practice slow and steady, you'll learn it quicker. That's basically if it is. That's a root note. Then the next above. Practice makes, Well, an old karate tutor once told me, practice doesn't make perfect, it makes better. The notion of perfection is something to aim for, but it's seldom really attained. But there you go. It will definitely get better if you practice. So, for the top, we'll go through it until I get fed up. There I just go. Catch the open G, and that just creates a subtle drone that goes right through the rest of that bar, rather than a full drone. Sorry, I was up in recording Migvy Kirk the day, and of course it's bloody freezing as usual up there, and that affects the fiddle. So when you actually take it out and play it in a warm room, the tuning goes out to hell. But anyway, that's what I get for going to walk there. So here we go. Rather than, to me it's a wee bit too heavy. I like that better. Still going. Still going. And actually when you kind of hear it, you can still feel it. So there you go. Let's go at the top again. 2, 3. There again. So, new tune, The King of the Goblins. Not much more I want to say about that, really. Just keep working at it. Brand new tune, so if you go out playing that, maybe you'll ken it. We'll say just something briefly about grace notes, because generally speaking, every tune I play will have grace notes, and that's appropriate for traditional Scottish fiddling, just like other styles like in Ireland. But crisp and clean, for instance, the kind of places that I would put in a grace note, if I can. I never think about it, that's the thing, so it's quite difficult to concentrate because they appear for their space. You've got two notes the same, so you've got the lead-in note followed by the first note, the first bar. I tend to put a grace note in between them, just punch a hole there as well. A lot of folk don't like using their fourth, but if you're going to play a grace note, you've got to hammer it down nice and firmly. Or they turn just like at the end. So the first half's got quite a few grace notes, more in the second half. There's not maybe quite so much space. A lot more triplets in the second half, so fingers are moving maybe too quick. So there you go, the King of the Goblins, suitably supernatural for Halloween. Gonna go into another new tune. It's even newer than the King of the Goblins. It's I wrote that last night and notated it last night. This is a slow air card, the Kelpie. Now, a lot of folk will ken what the Kelpie is. A lot of folk, first thing they'll think of and think of Kelpie is the fantastic sculpture down outside Falkirk, the Kelpies. They are the biggest equine statue in the world. They are quite remarkable. They are beautiful. I think they're great. I really like them. And yeah, they're well worth getting to see. If you're in Scotland and you're in the Central Belt, I would say go and see them because it will be something you remember. So for a lot of folk, that's what they'll think of. They were never called the Kelpies by the guy that created them. That's not what they were supposed to be. But folk started calling them the Kelpies because the Kelpie is it's the water horse. It's a supernatural creature. It's a shape-shifting creature that can turn into human form, but it's quite sinister at the same time. It would usually take the form of a beautiful black horse that would be standing down by water, and the lonely traveller would feel drawn to try and get on the back of the horse and ride it. Beware though, you get in the back of that water horse, the Kelpie, it dives into a bottomless pool and it devours you. So it may well have come out of trying to keep the kids, the bairns, away from water, because you can't what a dangerous thing that can be. You need to try and give them a healthy respect for water, and the fear of the Kelpie might just do that. But it may well be there's something more going on, because there are many, many Pictish standing steins that have got depicted on them what's known as a Pictish beast, and it looks like well, it could be a bit of a dolphin to it. It's not quite right for a dolphin, and it's been argued that it's possibly a Kelpie that's been depicted. But I mean, it's not something that's only found in Scotland. That kind of the forms of the Kelpie are found throughout the Celtic world, but lots of different bits of the world have something similar. But it's a supernatural being that has quite a sinister reputation. And when I wrote this tune, my idea, it's that lonely bit of water with this sinister creature lying in wait, not lying, but standing in wait for a lonely traveller, thinking, oh, it's a horse, it'll save me walking the last 10 miles. So there you go. It's a shape-shifting creature. It can turn into a human. I suppose that makes it a wee bit like a silky. It can change from a seal into a human and back again. Anyway, we're getting on to a different subject. So I'm going to play this for you. Everybody looking at the music will be thinking, 3 flats, that's even worse than the last tune. To me, it's got a darker character for this type of thing. So this isn't necessarily a tune that I would expect folk to play in groups or play at sessions, but it's something different. It's brand new, so you want to ken it. So we'll maybe talk about how I express a tune. But when I was writing it, that's what's going on in my head actually, is the thought of that kind of lonely, misty, waterlogged place with this black horse standing. You apparently could capture a Kelpie if you had a proper bridle that was designed for a supernatural bridle. You could get it, if you could get it to a Kelpie's head, you almost kind of had it enslaved. It was bound to do your bidding, and could bring you good luck, but most folk never lived long enough. Well, anyway, there's lots of stories about the Kelpie. So this is the Kelpie, but this is nae the Falkirk Kelpies. This is the original sinister creature standing by the water, just for Halloween. Right, I reckon what you thought of that. I think it's definitely sinister enough, it's dark enough, it's not a cheery tune. There's a few tricky things, quite apart from the key of the tune, it's in 3 flats. But there's a bit of third position. The double stopping in the last line is a wee bit tricky as well, actually, as I found it. I would need to practice it. It's brand new, I only wrote it last night, so it's quite tricky as well, but if you practice it, should come not too bad. I would suggest getting to ken the tune, missing out the double stops, just play the top note, the melody note, get used to that first, practice the double stops on their own, but kind of leave them separate until you've got the tune under your fingers. So that's what I would do for us if I was practicing this on its own, just like this. Get that on its own before I start trying to put that into the tune. When I'm playing in the tune, that would be. So I think when I was writing this, I'll tell you where I was. I went for a walk and I wandered up to Tamnaveri Steen Circle, and last night when I was up there, it was dry enough, but it got really damp and it got really drizzly. The kind of drizzle that just gets you soaking wet really, really quick. And I was sitting up there in one of the steens. I was trying to bring this into mind, and it came to me quite well. But if you're looking to the west, before you're sitting there across the trees, you get that sense of the kind of pine trees and the autumnal colours, and I can just hung and soaking wheat, and just that sense when there's no a breath of air, there's no a sound, when you come upon this lonely strip of water, and there's this black horse in there, and that's kind of it I was trying to get at musically, without really hearing on any kind of how would you describe it as intellectual input. It was an instinctive sense of it, kind of caught the mood, I think, and it came quite quick actually. I got the first main theme of it, and when I went back home to notate it, I had an instrument on my knee. The tune came quite quick. Both these tunes came quite quick. So anyway, that's really what I'm trying to capture. So I think it's helpful if you've got that kind of image in your head when you try to play it, because if you've got a strong sense of the story or the mood that you're trying to communicate to your audience, I think if you've got that, it works far better for your audience as well. Okay, so the Kelpie, I'm going to play it again, and then I think really that's probably enough. I might do it again, but we'll play it now, and then I'll decide whether you've possibly heard enough of it by that time. So I ken some folk are not keen on flats, and so 3 flats will be like, oh no, I'm not playing it. But I like minor keys. Are some fantastic tunes. They're not all dark in character like this is, but there's a lot of brilliant tunes in flat keys that just have a go, practice them up, get some flat scales to work on, just to get the hand comfortable to be in the position, because it won't come accidentally. You really have to work at it. So here we go. The Kelpie. Sorry, I'm stopping there. If you've got the music and you're trying to follow this, I've missed a dot out by mistake. Sorry about that. Wouldn't be the first time I've made a mistake in my own music, but there should be a dot. Okay, so that's a beat and a half, that note there. things. I've kind of left the bowing up to yourselves actually, but if anybody wants some pointers, well, just play this back. It'll be there to look at. But one thing I'm kind of conscious, so the third line, these chords, it's notated like this. I should have done it as grace notes. That's not really what I was looking for. So that is really a suggestion for the chords. Kind of somebody's accompanying that does not leave any doubt what sort of chord that I want there, and it's the same in the last line. Okay, second half I'm kind of swithering to go between really pulling out the long notes and keeping the short notes short, or making them a wee bit more regular. So it's up to you really, a matter of taste. I quite like it. As opposed to I think it's inclined to get a sense of a waltz till it. I do tend to find that I want to pull out my long notes regardless of what type of Scottish tune I'm playing, and I think it does get a bit more of that Scottish character, so I would tend to do that, but it's really up to yourselves. I mean, a slow air is a personal expression. I would give a pupil guidance in how I would do it to give them a sense to understand what you can do and how you achieve that. But thereafter, I really want folk to sing with their own singing voice, interpret it any way they want. So I'm going to play once more, and I think that'll probably be enough tonight. Looking on Friday, we're going to head a place dinner up for Halloween. I'm going to dress. Shona's going to dress. I'm not going to make it obvious for I'm dressing up as though, so we'll maybe get some guesses to see what you think I've dressed up as. But we're looking forward to it. It should be quite a lot of fun. And that's 8 o'clock on Friday, live for the lounge, and it's a good crack. As I say, it's my favourite night of the week. So we should probably have a few folk looking in, and anybody who is looking in, I'm hoping we'll get a few folk that took photos themselves that have dressed up. They're going to get into the spirit of things, and they're going to send their photos in. So it should hopefully be quite a lot of fun. So if you are going to look in, it would be good to see some of you getting into the spirit of things just for a laugh. And I will be unveiling my neat lantern. See what you think of it. I might do a pumpkin as well, just you can see the difference, how much easier a pumpkin is to how good. But anyway, folks, we'll see you on Friday. If you're going to be looking in, I'll probably be doing a workshop next week. But this is the Kelpie, the legendary water horse. you go. So you can interpret that only way you like. If I would say is, regardless of this, or on either slow air, however you play them, they need louds and softs, they need dynamics, they need the tempo pulled and pushed about, so speeding up through the phrase, slowing down as you get to the end of the phrase. At the end of the measure you slow up, and you never lift the bow really unless there's a dramatic pause, and that's just purely done for effect. Otherwise you're kind of chopping it up into bits, so although the note can taper off to almost nothing, you never quite stop the bow, and you move on to the next phrase, so you fade away to almost nothing and then move on to the next phrase. So let's get the end of this first measure. See, it just faded and then moved off again. Sense of that pushing and pulling, ebb and flow, and as it gets quicker it'll get louder, or if you get louder you push your tempo, when you get quieter you pull it back, so it almost slows up the end of the phrase. The end of each phrase should be like space to take a breath. Okay, then I chop it by poking a hole between phrases, keep the bow flowing, fade to nothing, slow right up and then move on again. But it should feel like, if you were a singer, that's where you would draw a breath for the next phrase. So that's kind of universal for slow airs as far as I'm concerned, and that will give them a sense of feeling, a kind of human feel. And I think that is something that only player that plays a good slow air will hate elements of that in their playing, which is why it works so well. Okay, right, so that's me done for tonight. Thanks for looking in. The 2 or 3 folk that's been there. I hope you've enjoyed it, and there's been some interesting bits and pieces. See how we get on with these tunes in 3 flats and 2 flats. Maybe not the most accessible key, but definitely worth having a go at. Not just to play these, but on 8 keys and flats, I think you'll find some absolute gems. So just practice your flats. So there you go. We'll see you on Friday. If you look in, we'll definitely be there. It'll definitely be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to that. So if you've enjoyed it and you want to chip in, it's the tip jar is www.paypal.me/Paul Anderson Shona Dawn, and we'll see you on Friday hopefully, and if not, we'll see you further down the road. Have a good time and stay safe.